Yeah, look, I think we're in pretty good shape with 4 days to go. Since we arrived here in London, the preparation has been really good. Joe's been well rested, got over the jet lag. We've been training a couple of times a day, getting in the gym in the morning, running, doing sprint work, and then hitting the boxing gym in the afternoon. First couple of days we did some quite good rounds, and now we're just tapering off, staying sharp, getting the mind right, sleeping well, eating well, and just counting down the days.
Is he bruising you up a little bit?
Oh yeah, he's very mean on his coach, which I actually love. You know, he at the moment he's got a lot more physical this camp. Belted me a few times, always very apologetic afterwards, but he's been killing me with body shots.
And how is this difference? What difference have you noticed in this fight compared to the last one?
Well, I tell you what, when you have your first ever career loss, you know, and we all know that Joe's a very chilled guy, and he's very hard to read with his emotions, but what I can tell you, somebody who's around him very closely, and he lives in my house when he's in camp, there is a fire burning in his belly, and he has a lot to prove in this fight. You know, there were some really good things to come out of the Joshua fight, like his defense was really good, his hand, head and foot movement was excellent, but his offense that got him, the explosive combinations that got him all the way to the world title weren't there in that fight. And Joe knows that in the second half of the fight he should have thrown more punches, and you know, this fight we're going to see a much more aggressive, a much busier Joseph Parker. You know, Joe's really going to let his hands go with Dillian Whyte.
And that's one of the big criticisms that Dillian has said, isn't it? Is that he's not an attacking guy, he's an offensive guy.
Well, Dillian says a lot of things, and half the things that he says, I don't even think that he remembers what he says. But look, you know, here's a guy that like, we love him, and he's great for the promotion. You know, some fighters really need to talk themselves up on fight week to get themselves fired up to get into the ring. Joe's not one of those guys. You know, the fighting for us is not outside the ring; it's inside the ring. But you know, this is a pay-per-view event. We're in the business of boxing. You know, we love the statements that have been coming out of Dillian Whyte's mouth.
You mentioned the fire in Joseph's belly. What do you think is the reason for that?
Well, I think, you know, as I mentioned before, you know, Joe's coming off his first ever career loss. He lost his world title, something that he was very, very proud to wear, and something that he took very seriously. And he wants more than nothing else the opportunity to get that back. That's why when this fight was first talked about, you know, we could have given Joe 2 or 3 tune-up fights before we had another run at the title. But you know, when they offered us Dillian Whyte, you know, Joe said, "I want the biggest fight against the biggest name that you guys can get for me." And when him and I had a quick chat about it, 10 minutes later, that fight was on. You know, he saw this as his redemption fight. He knows it's a tough fight, but you know, we're very lucky to be in this position. We consider ourselves very fortunate that coming off our first career loss, that we're straight back in the picture against the #1 ranked fighter in the WBC, the #2 ranked fighter in the WBO, and 4 with the IBF. You know, our redemption can come very, very quickly if Joe can put his hands together and do the complete performance against Dillian Whyte on Saturday night.
Great, that's all from me. Anyone else would like any
questions? Thank you, KB. Thank you.